Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Destination Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Stoker. We've got an excellent show for you today, an episode that I've particularly been excited about, and I'm sure you'll see why with the subject matter we're discussing today. But before we do, I of course, I want to get into a little bit of a monologue here of what I'm seeing in the industry. And this is a unique monologue because I'm doing a little bit of a recap of an event that we put on a week ago that, of course, I may be biased, but to me, it was an amazing success. And it's called CMO Jam. I'm not going to bore everyone with the backstory because I've talked about it a lot on this show. But CMO Jam is designed to bring together several industry CMOs from small organizations, from large organizations, and have them kind of collaborate on a variety of topics and help push the industry forward by talking about how they're tackling certain issues and challenges, et cetera. And the group that I had this year was just amazing. Last year we had done it in person at Esto. This year, in an effort to make sure we could get everybody on there at the right time and also have more people attending live, we did it virtually. And we were able to have 6 incredible panelists. So we had Kelly Steele, who's the executive director of Putnam County Tourism in West Virginia. We had Josh Albrecht, who's the chief marketing officer at Visit Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Allison Brown, the executive director of marketing at Discover Long Island, New York. Christian Mangle, the director of communications and marketing at St. Joseph CVB in Missouri. Karina Anthony, who's the executive director of marketing at Visit Atlantic City, New Jersey, and then Megan Buckbinder, who's the executive vice president of marketing and strategy at Wilmington and Beaches, North Carolina. And this group was on fire. Like it was just such a great conversation. We went through several topics, and I want to give you all my 5 takeaways. Now, this hasn't been posted live on YouTube yet. We're probably still a couple of weeks from you being able to go to YouTube and see that. But I wanted to get the recap out to you as quickly as possible. My team is frantically, I shouldn't say frantically because that makes it sound like they're unorganized. That's not it at all. They're working really hard to get it edited and cut and prepared into their individual episodes because it's going to turn into 4 episodes, maybe 5. I can't remember. I'll have to double check with the team. That you'll be able to see on the Brand Revolt YouTube channel, and that's a really great place where you can even go see last year's, which has been published. But the 5 takeaways, I want to give you my 5 takeaways from CMO Jam this past week. So first of all, we talked a lot about AI, and it's interesting. We made sure to kind of delineate between consumer-facing AI and internal AI for operational efficiency. We spent the majority of the conversation on the operational efficiency side. And, there was mixed results. And we kind of found that there's the real divider between destinations who have found a lot of operational efficiency and those that haven't actually has a lot more to do with the safety restrictions of IT on whether or not they're able to pursue the operational efficiency tools that they have. So one of the things that I would encourage any destinations that are listening to do is to check out that portion of the discussion and listen to some of the things that people are doing from an efficiency perspective. I mean, Josh from Milwaukee mentioned he had an intern that he armed with ChatGPT and some very specific instructions. And that intern was able to create 1,000 partner listings that were optimized for AI readability. And it was about 20 hours a week. They still had humans in the loop, proofreading every single one. But this intern was able to get a ton done leveraging ChatGPT and preparing all their partner listings to be discoverable by AI. Megan from Wilmington talked about how she had a team member take the workflow of their expense reports, and he built that tool in Claude Code. It took roughly a day, and then they didn't have to have a software that they were subscribing to, right? So this was an automatic tool to replace a workflow that they did with AI. Great use case. And so, the operational efficiency, there's so much to be unlocked. But the problem is if your IT and security team won't allow you to leverage those tools, you get really hamstrung. And so I would love to see more and more destinations push their security teams to give them a little more flexibility and allow them to use some of the tools like Claude, ChatGPT, and some of the other tools that are out there. When we got into the consumer-facing side of AI, it was interesting because the general, I would say, vibe or theme was that not a lot of people have seen massive value returns on consumer-facing AI. And Josh Albrecht actually shared that the best thing that they've done is they created a tool called Ask Leroy, and Leroy is a NFL Hall of Famer that is famous from that area. And people are using that entirely as a novelty. And so he's not getting valuable tourism feedback or results. He's getting really funny chats that people ask Leroy, 2 or 3 chats, and then they abandon it and move on. And it's a great engagement tool, and people are obviously typing things into it, but he's not seeing the valuable data, I think, that we were promised as a result of those AI searches on the site. I think Allison from Long Island had a little bit of a better experience and is seeing better value on the AI tool that she's installed on the site. You have to listen to her explanation on that to kind of get the whole scene. But AI is obviously a big topic of discussion in our space, and it was a topic of discussion at CMO Jam with varied results. And I think the thing that I'm finding is that people are finding more value on the operational efficiency side than they are on the consumer facing side at this point. That could absolutely change. And this was a focus group of 6, right? And so we very well could have plenty of destinations that are having a different experience. But for the group that we had, it seems like the operational efficiency component is much more valuable at this point in the process. The next takeaway that I would say is, we talked about relevance, and one of the things that I've talked about for DMOs for a while is that it's really important that we go beyond just website traffic metrics to communicate our relevance to the community. And Christian from St. Joseph's, Missouri, stopped me and said, I really don't like the vernacular that you're using, because relevance is like the bare minimum. Do people care that we exist, or do people even know we exist? He's like, I would love to see us chasing significance, not relevance. We should be measuring our significance to the community, because our relevance to the community only means that we even matter at all. And significance, I think, is a much more powerful word. He changed the entire perspective of the whole panel when he brought that up. And that was a really great takeaway for all of us, I think. So significance is, would you feel it if the DMO was gone, as opposed to relevance, should we even exist, right? And so my suggestion to everyone after that portion of the discussion is, let's pursue significance as opposed to just pursuing or fighting for relevance. And that paradigm shift, I think it'll change our actions and the way we're pursuing significance in the community. So that was a great takeaway. Another takeaway is that I see a lot of destination marketing organizations, and this came up a lot, and we're actually going to talk about it today in this episode. So this is a great episode to have this discussion. Money right now is moving from paid media to content. And one of the main reasons for that, and I've talked about this on the show as well, the algorithmic way that we are served content today disintermediates paid media. Because if you have an interest in a specific topic, the content will find you based on the algorithms that serve us content today. And we're seeing that across the board. Every single panelist mentioned that they've moved moved budget from the media bucket into the content bucket. And there was several great examples. I don't want to spend too much time on that because I want to get through to our guest today. The fourth thing, though, and I think this was really important, the fourth takeaway is that destination marketing organizations are becoming disillusioned with the agency of record model and the agency of record partnership. Of the panelists that I brought on, and this was a random collection of panelists, the decision that they had made had zero impact on whether or not I chose them. I didn't know until I asked them on the actual meeting. 3 of the 6 have terminated their agency of record relationship and have gone to specialist agencies for the specific challenges or projects that they want to execute on. And the fact that 3 of the 6 had done that in a random sample, that does a few things. So number one, agencies historically have subsidized strategy work, creative work, and other really valuable stuff that they do with media commissions. The problem is if destinations start changing the way they engage with agencies and remove that subsidy of media commissions, we've got to have a real honest conversation about where the value comes from in the agency relationship and how that financial relationship needs to be structured. And as we talked about that, one of the things that became very clear is that our panelists didn't want an agency that would just go place the media for the year and kind of set it and forget it. By the way, I don't think very many agencies set it and forget it, so I don't want to, give the indication that I believe that that's happening at scale. However, they said that what they'd really prefer is having a partner, a strategic partner to help them solve problems they can't solve on their own. And one of the things that's happened over the last several years is the destination marketing organization team member has become so much more sophisticated than they were 5, 7, 10 years ago, but the agency model and relationship has remained the same. And so that means the value they get from the agency is different today than it was 5, 7, 10 years ago. And the thing that I made sure to stress, and I want to stress this here as well, is that if you want a strategic partner as an agency, you have to be prepared to pay a premium because your strategy partnership is no longer going to be subsidized by media commissions. And so there's a balance there, and you're definitely going to have to find it with your agency partners. But I do feel like this trend of the agency of record model kind of decreasing, I think that's going to have a major impact on our industry, because what happens is those that are focused specifically on agency of record engagements, their total addressable market is shrinking significantly if a large percentage of DMOs are changing the dynamic of their relationship. So again, I think this is just a macro industry thing that we all need to be aware of. I'm obviously on the vendor side, and this is something I definitely need to be aware of, but also DMOs in this time of uncertainty and change between the agency and the DMO, both sides need to be very cognizant of what's happening there. So that's something to be prepared for. That was a really interesting takeaway. We actually dedicated about 45 minutes or so to that discussion, and we could have gone on for hours. I mean, it was a really key part of the discussion. The final takeaway that I wanted to point out is that with this panel, and so many of the things that they said were insightful, valuable, and helpful, they didn't agree with me on everything. They didn't agree with each other on everything. But we all agreed on one key point that Josh Albrecht made. And there's been a lot of discussion in the destination marketing industry of, should destination marketing organizations be marketing organizations? Should they be management organizations? Are we DMMOs? I've seen a ridiculous amount of communication about that specific topic. Josh said, our job is to understand our culture locally and export it to the world. And it was such a simple kind of accumulation of everything that a destination marketing organization should be doing. And it felt so simple, but at the same time, it really kind of pinpointed what we're supposed to do as destination marketing organizations. And he said, tourism is an outcome, but culture is a strategy. And I thought that was also a really insightful comment as well. So let's all understand our culture and let's export that culture to the world. And I think if we can do that successfully, we're going to have massive impact on our destination, and we will achieve significance in the destination. And I think that's really, really important. So with that, that's a little taste of what CMO Jam was like. As you can tell, I can't take a half day of content and put it into a 5 to 7. In fact, I think I blew past my time on the monologue here today, but it was incredible. And I would encourage everyone, when it goes live on the YouTube channel for Brand Revolt, to go check it out. And with that, I want to bring in our guest. Her name is Keelie Cox, and she is from Travel Nevada. Keelie, I'm so excited to have you here with us. You're the Chief Marketing Officer there at Travel Nevada. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Adam. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. So I know that was a lot to digest. Yeah. That was one of my longer monologues that I've done here, but I'd love to hear your reaction maybe to some of the conversation that was happening at CMO Jam.
Yeah, so I was frantically taking notes as you were doing your monologue, because there was some insightful takeaways from there, and I can't wait for that to go live. The significance to the community, not relevance. That is definitely a key takeaway there, and something that affects the whole organization, right? Just absolutely everything we do. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Keelie, I really appreciate you joining me. Let's hear a little bit about your background and what led you to be where you are today.
Yeah. So my first gig in the tourism marketing realm was with the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority. So I worked there for almost 5 years before a marketing manager position opened up at Travel Nevada. At that point, I had recently graduated with my MBA from the local university, put in my application, and was given the job. So I was excited for that. I worked as the marketing manager for about 4 years when we lost our CMO in January. So then that role became available. And again, I decided to put in my application and was offered the job. So I was really excited that it was my time to lead our team into new beginnings. So
Awesome. And one of the things in our intro call that we had to kind of prepare for this conversation that you talked about is that when most people think Nevada, obviously you can't think Nevada without Vegas, at least being part of the conversation. But you guys kind of divide up Nevada in an interesting way because you're responsible for the non-Vegas portion of Nevada. Is that right?
yes, yeah. So down in Southern Nevada, right, we have the Las Vegas Visitors and Conventions Authority, one of the largest in the world. So they've really got that Las Vegas area dialed in. Up north, we have the Reno Sparks Convention Visitors Authority, which is where I had originally come from. And same thing, they really have that Reno Sparks, parts of Lake Tahoe area really dialed in. But Nevada, geographically speaking, we are the 7th largest state. So there is still a whole lot of Nevada that is not being marketed to those levels. So that's where we come in. We get to focus on those hidden gems, those lesser known parts, those more rural communities in Nevada.
Great. So I guess with that your role is to kind of promote all the non-Vegas part of Nevada. Is that Clark County that you kind of carve out, or is it just Las Vegas?
It depends, right? So Clark County is massive,
It's huge.
so it extends all the way from Mesquite down to Laughlin. And so the LVCVA, they do have a major presence down in Clark County, and we just supplement that, right? So yes, we're still touching on Mesquite. We're still touching on Laughlin, and just kind of extending their message down there.
Well, I used to live in St. George, Utah, which is about 30 minutes from Mesquite, Nevada. So, of course, I know that Mesquite is a part of Clark County, and Mesquite is at least an hour, I think, from downtown Vegas. And so, yeah, it's a big county to promote. And I love to golf, and so Mesquite and everywhere between Mesquite and Las Vegas are very important markets to me, right? So, Keelie, I want to talk about, you said it's the 7th largest state in the union geographically. Nevada is massive. And you've got Great Basin National Park, you've got so many, you've got the Lake Tahoe area. There's so many different areas of Nevada. How do you prioritize? How do you identify who gets the love? Is it a squeaky wheel mentality, or how do you take care of everyone?
Yeah, we have a really great team here. We're all communicating with what's going on, and it depends on the project, right? So if it's summertime and we want to talk about outdoor rec, we're probably going to steer clear of Southern Nevada where the temperatures are pretty hot, and we might focus on more of those outdoor rec activities in Eastern Nevada or even in the western side of the state where it might be a little bit cooler. We are just so diverse here. In the winter, if we really want to hone in on the fact that you can mountain bike and ski the same day in the winter in Southern Nevada, that could be a story for us right there, because you've got Mount Charleston, which is a full-on ski resort, and then you can still go mountain biking in Boulder City. So it really just depends on the story we're trying to hit, and we do a good job of making sure we spread the love throughout the whole state.
I love it. I love it. And my parents actually live in Nevada. And so, you mentioned Boulder City. I'm like, I wouldn't mountain bike in Boulder City, but I would play golf in Boulder City. I love Boulder Creek Golf Course. Anyway, I'm not going to make everybody listen to me talk about all the golf courses that I've played in Nevada. But I want to talk about, you have worked on a content project that I've just been dying to share with everyone on the show. I talked a little bit in my monologue about the shift that's happening from paid media to content in the destination marketing industry. You guys have taken on this massive undertaking of a show that I think is going to just be incredible. I think it's going to have a massive impact on the significance, right, of Travel Nevada. So I would love to hear the backstory of how this project came about. I'm not going to steal your thunder and say what it is. I want you to kind of share what it is and walk us through what it's like to create a show of this significance.
Sure. So the television show we launched, it's called Get a Little Out There with Alex Honnold. Get a Little Out There is our brand messaging. And so it really paired nicely with what we were the message we wanted to deliver in the show with our overall brand messaging. Hopefully most people are familiar with Alex Honnold. He free climbed El Cap, and then most recently he free climbed Taipei 101 live on Netflix.
And there was the series, or I don't know if it was a series or just a documentary, but it's Free Solo was kind of where he became famous, at least to the masses, right?
Yes. Yeah. I believe it was a National Geographic production where they documented his whole story of free climbing El Cap out in Yosemite. So in Free Solo, he actually he goes to Vegas because he is looking to buy a home. And so he lives in Vegas now, and he talks about why he lives in Vegas, the Red Rock National Conservation Area, just outside the Strip, right? 45 minutes. It's world-renowned rock climbing out there. Like it doesn't get, and he is very open about it, doesn't get much better than Red Rock. So that's why he lives in Vegas. And so we had an agency who actually in their initial RFP, they had said, how do we get Alex Honnold on board to be a brand ambassador or do this travel television show? And, the stars kind of have to align for it to happen, right? It takes a lot of tenacity, persistence, finally budgets align. And after being approached with this idea for, I think, a few years, we finally said, you know what? Yeah, you guys go out, talk to his people, see if it's something he would even be interested in. And they came back and they're like, he loves the idea. We're like, oh, wow, okay, this can be a real thing that happens. Go forth and let's make it happen. So there was, from there, it gets really into the boring stuff, right? Like all the contracting.
Yeah, but I think, even though that may feel a little bit boring, the logistics of pulling something like this off, I would love for our audience to be able to hear what it entails. And so if you don't mind, maybe just a high level of what the logistics of putting this thing together were like.
Yeah, so there's two parts of contracting, right? So there was contracting with Alex himself, and then there was the production part of it, and then how we were going to promote it. So our agencies, they did such a great job of coming back to us with, different opportunities. This is what it would look like if we went with, Route A, where we fully produced it, and then we pay somebody else to promote it. And then ultimately we went, I would say, with Route B, where we hired a production company to produce it, film it, and then they also were going to promote it. But I think the key part was we still owned all the rights to the assets. So, they had exclusivity at the beginning of the promotion, and then once that time period expired, it 100% comes back to us, and it is ours to own and do with as we want. So,
why is that so important to you?
Because the opportunities to use it are endless, right? So now we can, the episodes are what they are, but we can put the episodes on our YouTube as an example and promote our YouTube channel. That way we can make different cuts of it, just to use in our overall marketing, more social media related to it. It's just, it was just really important to us to maintain ownership of those assets.
And how many episodes did you do of the show?
Yeah, there are 5 total episodes, and they're about 20 minutes each.
And is this intended to continue into multiple seasons, or am I asking you a question that you haven't announced yet, or what?
It's definitely something we want to do. A lot of it does come down to budget. So it was great when we did season 1, right? We had budget. We're in a little bit of a budget cut right now, so we're just seeing how we can make it work, if there's opportunities to maybe split the cost over fiscal years. But it is definitely an avenue we'd like to pursue.
Okay. And what was the tipping point that finally allowed you to be able to make this happen after, it sounds like several years ago, the agency that won the RFP said, hey, we'd really like to see how to make this happen. What was the tipping point?
It happened so fast. So when we said, sure, go talk to his people, like his agent, and they said, he's interested. Like, we need to pursue this. Okay. And there's like, well, we need a production company. And then all of a sudden they're coming back to us with a line of media outlets and what the cost would be. And so we ended up going with outside. They just really stood out to us with what they were willing to give us, the dollar amount it was going to be, the fact that we were going to maintain ownership of the assets. And as I said, the stars were really just aligning, and it happened quick. So we started doing like the pre-planning part of it, like at a very high level in June, and we were shooting by October. So it happened really fast. Yes, it moved fast.
Well, and from a budget perspective, then, how did you have the funds available to, once this came together, say, hey, yeah, we're moving?
Yeah, it was part of our paid media budget. So we had, so we had some budget set aside creatively, right? Because this is it's an integrated project. So there were some creative elements to it. Again, like I said, we get to own all the assets, and then it was also paid media. So we pulled from our paid media budget.
One of the benefits that I have of talking to so many different destination marketers is I get to hear the problems that are recurring over and over and over again for destinations. And one of the things that I am constantly hearing is just how expensive it is to generate content for a destination. And there's a real challenge that destinations have where if you bring in a production crew and that production crew, pulls together a lot of the different footage or the different broadcast spots or whatever it is that a destination is doing from a video content perspective, you're going to chew up so much of your content budget so fast by doing it that way. And as I heard several of those examples, I thought to myself, I think I can create a solution here that's going to fix part of this problem. And so after going back and forth with a few different destination marketers about the way their content flow is structured and the workflow that they're using, I came up with an idea that I think is going to be really, really valuable for especially content-centric campaigns that are going to be needed to be successful in the industry. And so a lot of people are using user-generated content, and I think that's great, but there's still a lot of time spent kind of scouring the hashtags or scouring the different content that has been generated that features the destination. And I thought to myself, what if I can create a technology where destinations can put their content wish list out there, and then everyday creators, people that live in the destination, maybe they want a side hustle, maybe they're working on their photography or videography skills, whatever they're doing, they can go grab those jobs and produce them for really cheap. It was also really important to me as I created this to make sure that there's not a monthly recurring expensive software cost to this, because I just feel like there's so many SaaS products that are hitting the monthly P&L for destinations. I wanted it to be something that you only pay if you buy content. And so the way it works is it's a marketplace where destinations can submit their wish list for content, and then creators can grab the content requests, produce the content, upload the content, and then if the destination wants to buy it, they buy it. If the destination doesn't want to buy it, they're not obligated to buy it. It only is used when the transaction takes place. And so it incentivizes the creators to create really valuable and interesting content, and incentivizes the destination to do a better job with their context and posting briefs that actually get the creators to be able to create good content for the destination. So if any of you have like this list of local creators that you work with, and you've got a spreadsheet of all their emails and all of this, where and you've got to get the rights for the photos or the content or the videos. It's just a lot of time to manage all of that, either out of a spreadsheet, out of your Gmail or whatever. And this platform that we've built called Koa has really changed the way destinations can capture that content, save a ton of time, save a ton of money, and hopefully take your content expense down to near zero. If you want to be one of our beta testers, we got 5 destinations in. We want 5 more destinations testing it. Go to koacontent.com and you can sign up as a DMO to be a beta tester for this technology, and I think you're going to find it incredibly valuable for you. As you're budgeting for something like this, and obviously you had to make some last-minute changes from the media budget into the content budget, what was the approval process like? Who had to buy off in order? Because in June, you started the conversation, you're shooting a few months later. Who did you need to get approval from on such a quick decision?
Yeah, so I mean, we had been planning it before June, right? In terms of the, communication with outside, the communication with Alex and his agents. Ultimately, we get approval from our commission. So in June, we present our media recommendations for the full year to our commission. And this was one of the large integrated projects we had wanted to do for last fiscal year. And, we just do the whole spiel. This is what we want to do. This is why we want to do it. This is how it'll help create significance in our community. And then at the end of it, they were blown away. And they said, you guys need to do what you can to make this happen.
Great.
Yeah.
And how's the release gone?
Better than we expected. It's been wonderful. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I mean, so I've got a couple numbers. For example, on the earned media side, so like I said, in January, he climbed Taipei 101, which really just elevated his popularity. So from there, he did a spot on Jimmy Kimmel, and our PR agency was able to get him to say a line about what his next project was in that interview, which was our show. I mean, People Magazine interviewed him, and we were able to get a line about our show in his interview with People Magazine. So we had over 1.75 billion earned media impressions from there.
Wow.
And then the other numbers I can read off to you, they are from June, so they've just been better.
Sure.
But we've got over 4 million hours of people watching this episode.
No way.
All the 5 episodes, yeah.
One of the things that I want to talk about there is I'm usually against, like in a Super Bowl spot, when people just go grab as many celebrities as they can and they throw them in a spot.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, people remember for 5 minutes that so-and-so was in the spot, but they can't even remember what company it was, that was doing it. You obviously entered into a partnership with Alex Honnold here, and the result of that partnership is on Jimmy Kimmel, he's mentioning it, right?
Yep.
And in People Magazine, he's mentioning it. And so I guess my question is, how did you think about the celebrity engagement here and not having it why didn't you just put him in a 30-second spot? Like, why was it an ongoing content partnership with him? And tell me a little bit about the difference between what it would have been like if you just featured him in a spot versus the content partnership.
Yeah, I mean, just because he was so much bigger than that, right? So he lives in our state, right? He kind of lives and even breathes what we are about. He's got all of his sustainability efforts. He's about the outdoor adventure, exploring the lesser known places. And so it really was just a culture mesh between us and him. And, we didn't want it to be come be in our 30-second spot. Like, we want to create this piece of content that has longevity, that is going to go far above and beyond, what we're going to run on CTV. So
I think a lot of times brands get excited about, oh, John Hamm is going to be associated with our brand, right? And I think people get excited about that. I think the place where you actually get significance is if you're associated with their brand, right? Like, if you can make it where whenever people think of Alex Honnold, they think about the show that he did with Travel to Nevada. That's what you're really going for. Is that the right way to think about that?
Yeah, I would say you're right. I know another analogy we would use to talk about the show. It's like Anthony Bourdain meets Bear Grylls, right? Like, we're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, so I'm not against celebrity partnerships that are long-term partnerships. I hate the flash in the pan, one time, 30-second spot, and hope you get some sort of significance out of it. So I think you guys really did that the right way.
And again, we even moving forward, right? We're looking for more of like an ambassadorship, right? If just building that relationship, that common ground.
One of the things that I talk to a lot of destinations about when they're thinking about doing an owned media project, like what you did with Get a Little Out There, people don't realize all of the spider web of opportunity that comes from creating the asset, right? So with a paid media campaign, you run the paid media, and once the ad runs, that money's gone forever. But when you create an asset like Get a Little Out There, there's earned media value, which you obviously have highlighted here, but there's also so much additional content opportunity that spiderwebs off of that. Can you speak to some of the unexpected opportunity that came from creating this series?
Yeah, it really just aligns with all of our strategic goals, right? So not only are we telling Nevada's rural story, but we're out there showcasing, real communities, real people, real businesses, and giving them exposure that they otherwise would have never received. And we're telling this story to a new audience, right? Because sure, Outside has their audience, but now we're bringing in an Alex-specific audience.
You know what? You said something that I think is really important there, because you have your audience as a destination. Alex has his audience. Outside has their audience. And by doing this partnership, you were able to combine the three. And what you're also doing is giving your stakeholders access to two audiences they would have never accessed before. Whereas if you put them in an ad, then yes, they'll get access to your audience, right? Or the audience that you're renting access to. So again, I just feel like the compounding effect of building these types of assets, it's hard to define all of the downstream value that comes.
The opportunities are endless, right? So then if you just think of your owned opportunities, so anything with our website, we were able to turn his episodes into itineraries. So, hey, maybe don't rock climb the exact mountain that Alex rock climbs, but here's the area at least that he went to, or here's a different route you can take. The restaurants that he went to, where he goes rock hounding. Like, it builds something tangible that someone can go out and experience.
Is there anything you would do differently after going through the process?
I don't think so. Because the hiccups that we experienced were all out of our control. A lot of it was Mother Nature. If you see in our final episode 5, he had this epic run planned. And not even the week before, a few days before this, it was going to be like a 30-mile run happened. We got 3 feet of snow in October. And so it was like, well, that's not going to happen. We'll pivot to a plan B. So, there were things like that, but they were totally out of our control. We made the best of the situation as we could. But other than that, I think everything went really well, really smooth. We had the right people, the right partners, the right locations.
Well, and even that, there's entertainment value to the adversity and drama that comes along with having to pivot last minute and not doing the run that you've been planning for. It's great TV.
And it helps speak to our messaging too, because there's a part where he's asking the gal that he was supposed to go on the run with, like, is this what you thought Nevada would look like? And it pans out to this shot. And I mean, it's these jagged granite peaks covered in snow. And she's like, I did not expect Nevada to look like this at all. And it looks like a Christmas card. It's pretty incredible.
Oh man, there's your Instagram ads.
Yes.
That little clip right there.
Right there. Yeah. Yeah. And all that content is ours to do with as we like. So yeah.
I love that. I think it's a fantastic project. I almost called you Allison because Allison was somebody I had on a previous episode. Keelie, I really think it's an incredible project, and I just think it took a lot of foresight and guts to embark on something like this, because there's going to be plenty of naysayers. There's going to be plenty of people within the state saying, well, why are we spending money on that? And you have to see that through to get to the downstream results that you're clearly experiencing right now. I love hearing how this project went.
And so, Adam, the YouTube comments that are on the episodes right now, they're priceless. I mean, it's just the folks of Nevada. I've lived in Nevada my whole life. Thank you for showing the world how beautiful our state is, right? This episode is like a love letter to Nevada, or what a great way to showcase our state. Like no money in the world can buy the YouTube comments that we have received from this episode.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, have you done a reel where you kind of go through the YouTube comments?
Our creative agency, they have like gathered all the best ones, and they're like, this is what we want to do, guys.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
That's
there's
awesome.
some special things in there.
Well, I'm happy for you. I love seeing destinations that will do something a little different, a little more unique, and a little out there. I mean, this is a risk. Doing a project. Yeah, a little out there. Look what we did. But you took a risk, and I think that risk is clearly paying off now, and I'd love to see more people be willing to embark on something like that. If you could give advice to anybody else thinking about doing a risky project like this, or doing something big and kind of beyond, something that's going to have significance beyond just the time that you're in the destination, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, passion. I think we had such passion for this project, and that really shows in how it's presented. Again, just being persistent about something you believe in. And it was a full team buy-in, right? It wasn't just a paid media project. It was a Travel Nevada project. Like, it aligned with our strategic objectives. Not only was it storytelling, but it was going to help strengthen and support our rural communities. And that is everything we are about at Travel Nevada. So.
Well, Keelie, this has been fantastic. There's so much more we could have talked about, and maybe I should have you back on another episode to tell us about some of the other stuff you're working on, because I'm sure this isn't it. But I really appreciate you taking the time to share this with us today. This is an awesome project.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. If people have questions for you, Keelie, what's the best way for them to reach out and connect with you and maybe see the show?
Yeah, so the television show, if you just go to travelnevada.com, we've got it on our homepage right there. Really, travelnevada.com is the best way to get a hold of me, get my email.
Well, thanks again, Keelie. This has been great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Adam.
And thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to leave us a rating or a review. It helps us continue to bring you amazing guests like Keelie. Thanks everybody, and have a great week. Guys, have you created your profile yet on Tourism IQ? Tourism IQ has become one of the very best resources in the destination marketing industry. You can see all the latest jobs there, and Lori Farr, who many of you may know from when she was doing the travel vertical, she's the editorial director at Tourism IQ, and she puts together all the latest available jobs. She tells us where people have gone when they take a new job. It's called People on the Move. She posts the latest RFPs. We have a lot of thought leadership there from different leaders in the industry. And really, Tourism IQ has become one of the very best places for you to develop professionally in the destination marketing space. It's got all the resources you need, and it's growing every day. We have over 530 active profile users. These are people that have created profiles on the site. And then we have another 2,800 active lookers who haven't created a profile, but they are there consuming the content and revisit the site on an ongoing basis. This site is growing every day. I'm so proud of what it's become, and I need everyone to go create a profile and see the incredible resources that are being posted for our industry on a daily basis. mytourismiq.com is the URL. Please go check it out. Fill out a profile on mytourismiq.com.